but his heart was not connected yet to his mind. Jonah needed to conform his theology to God's theology. Third, we must have a proper understanding of God's nature. God has to disclose himself to me, to you, to us, in order for us to understand his nature. It is in Jonah's, in his prayer, in that context, that we find some great things about God. We see the unfolded and wonderful understanding of the nature of God. He said, please, Lord, was not this what I said while I was still in my own country? Therefore, in order to forestall or to prevent this, I fled to Tarshish. For I knew that thou art a gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger and abundant in loving kindness, and one who relents concerning calamity. This was not a weak statement from Jonah's part. He was saying something great here. Jonah have given thought to this, to the nature of God, and he was able to articulate it in prayer. He knew who God was, how good he was, how gracious he was. But yet, he was running from him. What? He had serious issues with the Assyrians. And I don't blame him. I can imagine, one of us saying, okay, we're ready. We're going to Iraq. I'm going to go preach to Iraq right now. We're going to Baghdad. Or we're going to Afghanistan. Maybe some of us still hold that anger in our heart for what's been happening for the last years, right? But when God commands, we obey. We don't run from it. Well, Jonah had experienced this before. He knew who the Assyrians were. They were evil people. He was a great prophet. He was well known among his people because he was always denouncing these people. They were so evil that they will go and conquer these cities and they kill everyone. They will skin them alive and they will leave and pile up their skull outside the city walls. They were so bad. They were so wicked. But now God says, no, Mr. Jonah, now you're going over there. How are you going to preach to them? He was biased. We must have a proper understanding of God's nature. What he knew of God came because God made himself known. Don't we see the same reality in our lives? Remember what happened to Samuel? If you go and read in Samuel chapter 1, chapter 3, 1 Samuel chapter 3, verse 7, it says that as a young lad, he was brought up at church and a temple. But the word says, yet scriptures tell us, now Samuel did not yet know the Lord, nor had the word of the Lord yet been revealed to him. Jesus tells us also in Luke chapter 10, verse 22, all things have been handed over to me by my Father, and no one knows who the Son is except the Father, and who the Father is except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son wills to reveal. Same thing happened to Moses. God had to reveal himself to Moses. And he knew who God was. If you read in chapter 34 of Exodus, just shortly after, or shortly before, Israel had bowed to the golden calf and engaged in pagan ritual in defiance to God. All these truths display the reality that the Lord does not deal with us as we deserve. But instead, he would hold his anger and treat us with grace, with compassion, with love. See, Jonah, I keep on saying Noah, because my newborn a grandchild. His name is Noah. And I play with him every single day. And I'm coming up with Noah now instead of Jonah. So, see, Jonah is like he had fresh in his mind Psalm 103. See, if we can read Psalm 103, actually verses 6 through 14, you can get a better idea. The Lord performed righteous deed and judgment for all who are oppressed. He made known his way to Moses, his acts to the son of Israel. The Lord is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger and abounding in loving kindness. He will not always strive with us, nor will he keep his anger forever. He has not dealt with us according to our sins, nor rewarded us according to our iniquities. For as high as the heavens are above the earth, so great is his loving kindness toward those who fear him. As far as the east from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions from us. Just as a father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him. For he himself knows our frame. He is mindful that we are but dust. I mean, Jonah, he knew the word. He was, I think he was thinking, he was considering this psalm as he was praying to God. But you know what? Knowing God is not enough. We need to experience God. We need to experience his presence in our life. We need to experience his power, his love in our life. Our theology should invade all facets of life. You can write that down. Jonah not only knew this thing, he had experienced God in his life. He said in chapter 2, verse 2, I call out to my distress, out of my distress to the Lord, and he answered me. And I cried for help from the depth of Sheol. You heard my voice. You remember when Jonah was in, I keep saying no. Jonah was, in this big fish belly, this distress. Can you imagine? I can't imagine. I've never been there, but can you just think for a minute? What a big fish could eat. Noah down there in the darkness with all this, I don't even want to say it, all this slimy stuff in there. But yet he was praying to God. He was calling out to God. At that moment, he was experiencing God. Don't we all experience God in those moments of our lives? God awaits for us to go to him in prayer, to talk to him, to repent, to ask for his forgiveness. Well, Jonah had experienced God, but yet he was stubborn. He didn't want these people to experience that same experience that he had with God. He just hated these people. We have to conclude that Jonah was an impressive theologian. He knew detailed truth about God. He knew so much concerning the Lord. He has experienced his truth in his own life. But there were areas in his life in which his theology had not penetrated. And that's what God is trying to do. He wants to penetrate not just our minds, but our heart as well with his teachings. God's mercy and compassion was not just for one group of people, not just for Israel, not just for a piece of land in the Middle East. And if you read chapter 1 of Acts, you're going to find that out, especially verse 8. Not just in Jerusalem, but to the outmost part of the world. You know, our theology is not just for selected areas of our life. Instead, it should invade every area of my life. It's not until then that we can experience God's love. It's not until then that we can experience change in our lives. Isn't that what 2 Corinthians 5:17 says? That we are a new creature, a new creation. Isn't that what John chapter 3 verse 3 says? That we are born again. Or Ephesians chapter 4 that says that we have a new image